Shoulders can make or break your physique, period. It doesn't matter how wide your back is or how big your arms are. If your delts are lagging, you'll still look like Johnny Stringbean. Now I'll admit up front, my shoulders are my weakest body part. No matter how hard I train them, genetically, I just don't have big delts. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. Who is this guy with the small shoulders telling us how to get big ones? And that's fair enough. But here's the thing, I'm 100% lifetime natural, and let's be real, those dudes with bolder shoulders that look like they've got bowling balls under their skin, that's a telltale sign that they're on gear. So while I may not have massive shoulders, what I do have is over 20 years of a training experience. And in this video, I'm ranking 20 plus shoulder exercises from the P tier for pencil necks to the G tier for goated. And at the end of this video, I'll crown one exercise as the goat of goats, and I'll send one exercise to training purgatory for eternal pencil neck. Now, before we get started, here are my 3 criteria for a G tier exercise. Number 1, it gets you stronger. Number 2, it feels good to do. And number 3, it gives you an insane pump. If an exercise doesn't check all 3 boxes, you already know where it's going. Let's start by calling out the P tier exercises, the ones that straight up suck. The first one is dumbbell front raises. Front raises with dumbbells specifically just suck. Your front delts already get a ton of work with most every pressing movement, so isolating them with light dumbbells isn't the best use of your time. And if you want to know the best front raise variation, I'll tell you later in the video, but dumbbell front raises are trash. P tier. Next, upright rows. This exercise is just way overrated. It's notorious for causing shoulder impingement, although that's never been the case with me. But whenever I do this exercise, I barely feel it in my shoulders, and my traps inevitably take over. And while I haven't done this exercise for years, I have done it a fair amount over my training career, but never once did I do it for my shoulders. But I still see lifters doing upright rows all the time, but there's way better shoulder exercises you should do instead. P tier. Moving on to D tier. These exercises are trash, just less trash. The landmine press. While some people swear by this for functional training, when the hell do you ever find yourself on your knees doing this shit? Now, if you're injured or you have cranky shoulders, this exercise can be appropriate. But with a limited range of motion and the awkward setup, it makes it far less effective than other pressing options. Plus, I've never met any dude that said he built massive shoulders from the landmine press. D tier. All right, already going on to C tier. These exercises are mediocre. We'll start off with cable lateral raises. Cable lateral raises provide consistent tension, but they're not as versatile or as effective as dumbbell lateral raises. And they're decent as an accessory, but they don't carry your shoulder gains. Plus, they're often done one arm at a time, and if you've watched any of my other tier list videos, you know I'm not a big fan of single arm isolation exercises. C tier. Cable face pulls. Face pulls are great for shoulder health and posture, but they're overrated when it comes to building mass. They're useful for rear delt activation, but they won't give you bolder shoulders. C tier. The dumbbell Y raise. Y raises target smaller stabilizing muscles of the shoulders like the rotator cuff. They're decent for prehab and mobility work, but they're not great for hypertrophy. They're good for warming up, but not growing big delts. C tier. Now, moving on to B tier. These exercises are good, but not great. Starting off with the machine lateral raise. Machines get a bad rap, but a good lateral raise machine is a great option for isolating your side delts. It allows you to stay strict with your form and overload easily. It's not goated, but definitely worth adding to your rotation if your gym has a good machine. B tier. The rear delt cable fly high to low. This exercise is a solid choice for isolating the rear delts. The high to low motion gives a nice range of motion and stretch. And while it is effective, I think it's more of a hassle than it's worth, as you're going to be that guy taking up both sides of the cable machine, trying to only work the rear head of your delts. I almost want to put these in C tier, but I'll keep them in B tier. Now, the Arnold press. Arnold's signature move is flashy, but it's not the most efficient shoulder press. Yes, the rotating motion may target all 3 heads of the delt, but it limits how heavy you can go. A good choice for variety, but not a staple. B tier. Then the dumbbell shoulder press. The dumbbell shoulder press is a solid choice, allowing for a good range of motion and balance across both sides. However, it's harder to overload compared to the barbell presses. Still a reliable lift. B tier. The push press. The push press is great for explosive strength and power, but the momentum takes some load off your delts. It's better suited for athletes than bodybuilders who are focused on hypertrophy. B tier. Now, moving on to A tier. These are strong choices. The dumbbell lateral raise. If you want capped delts, dumbbell lateral raises are a must. They isolate the side delts perfectly and give you that wide 3D look. Just don't ego lift. Strict form is everything here. A tier. The seated barbell overhead press. By eliminating momentum, the seated barbell overhead press isolates your shoulders better than the standing version. It's a great compound lift for strength and hypertrophy. A tier. Rear delt flies. Rear delts are often neglected, but they're crucial for a balanced 3D look in your shoulders. I enjoy any rear delt fly variation, whether it's with a reverse pec deck, a simple band pull apart, or my favorite, which is a chest supported rear delt fly on a seal row bench. You want some variation of these in any of your programs. A tier. The single arm dumbbell strict press. The single arm dumbbell press is a killer movement for isolating each shoulder individually while also challenging your core and stability. You can and need to go heavy on these, and they are excellent for building strength and fixing imbalances. I haven't done these in a while and I forgot how much I like them. A tier. Strict handstand push-ups. The strict handstand push-up is a bodyweight powerhouse. If you're strong enough to do these, they'll blow up your delts while also building insane overhead pressing power. The reason you don't see these perform more often is that CrossFit bastardized this exercise when they added in kipping, and frankly, most fitness YouTubers just aren't strong enough to do strict handstand push-ups, but they are an incredible shoulder exercise when done correctly. A tier. Now, before I reveal my best shoulder exercises, I want to give a shout out to my sponsors, Transparent Labs and Barbell Apparel. Transparent Labs legitimately makes the highest quality supplements. I'm a huge fan of their creatine, HMB, whey protein, and their bulk pre-workout. And if you want to get them at the most affordable price, use my code TANNER and save. All right, back to the video. Now, G tier. These exercises are goated. Starting off with the barbell Z press. This is the ultimate shoulder builder. By pressing from a seated position on the floor without back support, this exercise forces you to stabilize your core and rely entirely on your delts. It's brutal, effective, and easily the most functional pressing movement out there. G tier, no question. Next is the seated dumbbell shoulder press. I love this variation because it gives you a full range of motion and you can progressively overload it very well. Plus, you can go heavy. This targets all three heads of your delts. It's simple and it's effective. Goated. Also, if you want the best training gear and casual wear, make sure to check out Barbell Apparel. Their joggers and jeans are incredible, and if you want to support me, please check out my very own True Strength line. Next is pike push-ups. Don't underestimate bodyweight exercises. Pike push-ups are incredible for building shoulder strength and size. These are much harder than they look, but they're scalable, accessible, and a great way to mimic overhead pressing without weights. G tier. Heavy plate front raises. Front raises with light weights are useless, but heavy plate front raises, game changer. When done with a heavy plate, this exercise not only blasts your front delts, but also engages your grip, core, and traps. Plus, the tension at the top gives you an insane pump. Make sure you hit these with your legs straight, feet together, while maintaining a hollow position, which forces you to isolate your delts. Gymnasts and calisthenics dudes swear by these, and these blow up my delts like no other. My favorite shoulder finisher at the moment. Make sure to use a heavy plate like a 35 or a 45. This is a super effective movement that's massively underrated. If you've never done these, you have to give them a try. G tier. Now, if I'm gonna choose just one exercise as the GOAT of GOATs, it's hands down the barbell Z press. This movement forces you to stabilize your entire upper body while building raw pressing power. No other pressing variation forces your shoulders to work harder because when you're pressing from the seated position with your feet on the floor, it's impossible to cheat, which forces your delts to do all the work. It's a true test of shoulder strength, stability, and functionality. And if you're not doing Z presses, add these into your routine immediately and thank me later. Now, what about the worst shoulder exercise? If I'm gonna relegate one exercise to training purgatory for eternal pencil neck, it would have to be the dumbbell front raise. It's honestly insane how much better plate front raises are than dumbbell front raises. I just find this exercise inefficient, unnecessary, and basically a complete waste of time if you're already doing pressing movements. So if you're still doing these, switch to plate front raise immediately. Just trust me. There you have it, my shoulder tier list. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button, comment your favorite shoulder exercise, and subscribe for more no BS fitness content. And if you want bigger, stronger shoulders, check out my free 4-week True Strength program and my free anabolic meal plan. Or if you want the best results possible as fast as possible, apply for one-to-one custom coaching with me. I'll put that link here next to my head. And if you want to see me rank the best and worst chest exercises, watch this video here.